there's something to be said about some steel and metal
Yeah.
objects, so.
That's how they do that before you go.
Right, very hard.
Yeah, no, let me make it home the same way I'm leaving.
I think that's incorrect. Missing some people. We'll call to order the Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session for this evening, which is Thursday, May the 2nd, 2024. Our invocation, I'll call this meeting to order. Our invocation will be done by Pastor J.P. of Kingdom Builders Ministry. Is he here? Oh, please come forward, sir, and give us the invocation. After that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Mayor Pro Tem City Councilmember Terry Miller. Please stand for the invocation.
Good evening, everyone. Our scripture tonight will be Revelations chapter number 3 and verse number 12, where the Bible says, "He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he will not go out from it anymore." Let us pray. Father, in Jesus' name, Lord, we thank you for this meeting tonight, God, the things that is on this agenda. God, we ask you, God, that you will bless it right now, God. We ask you that you will continue to give us the wisdom that we need to move further into building this community, God, and being able to be a pillar right now, God, and build the strength that is needed. We ask you, God, that you will move on every plan that is presented. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge. And Pastor, we appreciate the prayer. Thank you so much, invocation. My name is Rochelle Robinson. I'm mayor of the city of Douglasville. I'd like to welcome you to the city of Douglasville's legislative work session. This is a work session where agenda items are presented for discussion only, and no official action will be taken on these items this evening, but we will take official action next Monday at our voting meeting, I was reading things. So, and that's next Monday at 6 p.m. If the business you're here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item comments from citizens and delegates for you to discuss your business. Just a few protocol items I'd like to make you aware of before we start the meeting. And I'll ask that you please listen closely so that there will be no misunderstanding about how the meeting will take place this evening. I ask that you please keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals, and that means calling people's names by their first name, first, last name, any staff, pointing to council members, that will not be tolerated. We ask that you, if you receive a warning for the first time from the chair, if you deviate from this requirement, a second deviation will result in you being dismissed from the chambers this evening. Only one person speaking at a time. Please do not applaud, react to speakers. Speak from the audience, cheer, or carry on a conversation with others in the audience, or be disruptive in any way in this meeting. If there's someone speaking at the podium, please don't ask that person questions. Talk to that person, have them turn around, talk to you. When you're at the podium, address all your concerns and questions and comments to myself and council members. And we ask that you would refrain from having conversations with someone who's at the podium. I'll remind you that we're only required to accept public comments during the required public hearings. We are not required to accept public comments on items before this council that are not public hearings. But you will maintain order. As the chair of this meeting, at any time during the meeting, I'm prepared to stop the public comments or agenda items if I believe the general good of the meeting will not be beneficial for action being taken tonight, and get order into the meeting. If you have a cell phone or other electronic devices, I ask that you'll please power those off or keep them in silent mode during the meeting so they will not be disruptive. Now, the agenda items will be handled in the following manner. The committee chairperson will read his or her item. Then that person representing that agenda item or applicant will make his or her presentation to myself and council members. Myself and council members will possibly ask clarifying questions to help us make a determination from the information that you're presenting to have us help in voting next week. I ask that the committee chairperson, that person will ask for comments from the audience. There'll be 20 minutes for those in favor of the item and 20 minutes for those in opposition, and each person has 5 minutes to talk, but in totality, each side only has 20 minutes. Prior to coming to the podium, I ask that you would please fill out a speaker card. Those cards are outside on the desk. They're blue speaker cards. They ask for your name and address. Put your name and address on those cards and hand them to our city clerk, Ms. Acker, to my right, with the beautiful white blouse on with stripes. And when you come to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Each person only has one opportunity to make comments on the agenda items. No reappearances, and this is not a question and answer format or debate for us to go back and forth answering questions. Just make your presentation, give your comments. We will make a determination if staff needs to follow up with you at a later time. Please address all of your comments to the chair. And we ask that it will not be repetitive information. If you have any printed material, please give that to Ms. Acker, our city clerk, and she will make copies and disseminate those copies to myself and council members. Hopefully, everyone understands the protocol and the items that I've just gone over, and we can all be on the same page for the meeting. Now, we do have copies. If you'd like to have an old school paper copy, they're outside on the desk. If not, you can follow us on the screen. So now we will move on with the agenda as presented. And we've had our invocation, our pledge, and now I'll go over the announcements. It is my pleasure to present a proclamation to the city clerk and deputy city clerk, declaring May 5th through May 11th, 2024 as the 55th annual Municipal Clerks Week in the city of Douglasville. So I will read the proclamation and ask our esteemed clerk, City Municipal Clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker, to come forward. I think she'll have Ms. Jackson come with her as well. It says, Proclamation 55th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government existing throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest amongst public servants. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and the community. Whereas professional municipal clerks continuing to strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerks through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, Providence, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is the most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk, whereas it is the most appropriate that we recognize these offices. Now, therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, do recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2024 as Municipal Professional Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal professional clerks, Ms. Vicki Acker, City Clerk, and Ms. Candace James, Deputy City Clerk, and to all the professional municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent. So proclaimed this second day of May 2024. Please come forward, Ms. Vicki and Ms. Candace. Let's give them a hand. They do a wonderful job. Would you like to make comments, Ms. Vicki?
I'd just like to say, Vicki Acker, City Clerk, 6695 Church Street. I usually forget that, so I made sure that I didn't tonight. I'd just like to say thank you so much for recognizing us for our hard work and our service to the City of Douglasville. We really greatly appreciate you all's support for all that we have done with you all, and every time we need something, you all are very amenable to us, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. You want to say anything, Ms. Candace?
Candace James, Deputy City Clerk, 6695 Church Street. Same thing as Ms. Vicki. I just want to thank you all, Mayor and Council, for always giving us the resources for us to be able to serve in the capacity that we're able to do so, and we wouldn't be able to do so without your leadership. So we thank you, and always thank you to Ms. Vicki for being a great mentor and a great boss. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Vicki and Ms. Candace, we're going to come around and take pictures, but I just want the audience to know, and if you want to add on to anything that I say about some of your duties that people may not understand, so all of the notarizing for council members, keeping all of the records, you all do open records request, the city municipal elections, you partner with the county with that. So if you, are there any other things that you want to say? You're behind the curtain. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You're that person when the curtain is closed, you're doing all the work behind the scenes.
We're the people that really like to stay behind the scenes and just get the work done and let
Yes,
you all
ma'am.
shine.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Let's give them a hand, council, and we'll come around.
All right, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. And then one more. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you.
We have another proclamation for a group of young, I'm going to call them all young because they have to stay on their toes all the time. It doesn't matter what the calendar says. They are awesome. So this is Office of the Mayor Rochelle Robinson proclamation for the second annual Municipal Court Clerks Week. Ooh, all these words, I got it. Whereas municipal court clerks play a significant role in ensuring that municipal courts preserve public safety and promote quality of life in the city of Douglasville and local municipalities across the state. Whereas the procedures for the city of Douglasville's municipal court operations are set forth by the uniformed rules of municipal court and other laws of the state of Georgia. Whereas more people come in contact with municipal court clerks than all other city services combined, and public impression of the city of Douglasville's judicial system is largely dependent upon the public's experience in municipal court. Whereas municipal court clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the city of Douglasville's municipal court is committed to the notion that our legal system is based on principle that is independent, fair, and competent. The judiciary will interpret and apply the laws that govern us. Municipal court clerks act in a manner that promotes public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments and the significant role of municipal court clerks, how they play in preserving the public's confidence, the integrity, the impartiality of this judiciary. Now, therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, do recognize the week of June 10th through the 14th, 2024, as Municipal Court Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal court clerks. Miss Angie Cochran, stand when I say your name like in school, please, and hold your applause until the end like the Academy Awards, okay. Miss Angie Cochran, Court Administrator. Kristen Leatherwood, Court Supervisor. Deborah Foreman, Senior Court Clerk Chelsea McKaylee, Brandy Smith, Mary Beth Wigley, wow, Robin Caldwell, Tanya Dooley, and bring them out, Miss Christina Roberts, clerk courts and all municipal clerk courts for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the committees and the communities that they represent and serve. And we also have the municipal judge, our chief municipal judge, Judge Keith Rollins, if you don't mind standing too, because you're not the thorn amongst flowers, you're amongst all these roses, but you stand out as the plant in there. So proclaimed this second day of May 2024. Let's give our municipal court clerks a hand for their service. Is our senior municipal court, Miss Angie Cochran, are you speaking for everyone? Or are you going to
Yes,
have?
I am.
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
the judge wants to say something too, so I'll keep it short and sweet.
Yes,
But we
ma'am.
appreciate y'all's support. Y'all just don't, the city of Douglasville is the best city in the world.
Aw.
So, and we hope we do a good job and represent it well.
You do.
So we'll let the judge take
Thank you so much, Miss Angie. Yes, sir. Come on, Judge. Here comes the judge. You can say anything you want to. I know it.
The importance of what these ladies do every day is unfathomable to people who do not have contact with the court. If they miss a piece of paper, if they write down a word wrong when we're in court, it can affect people's lives seriously. That did somebody get arrested somewhere that they shouldn't have because we dealt with it? Or so everything that they do is very, very important.
Yes, sir.
You want to know how many people it takes to make a judge look good?
How many?
Count them off right here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
They are very supportive of what we do there. They are very, very important. Every day that we finish court, I try my best to thank every one of them that sat there with me, trying to, God help them, trying to keep me straight and to keep things flowing.
Yes.
Ms. Cochran is doing a wonderful job supervising. I can't single anyone out. Ms. Cochran is responsible because her name's at the top, but they all contribute in something that they do. While I've got this, I want to mention, last time I was before y'all, we had a time problem. Well, Ms. Cochran and I, and I'm sure somebody else participated in it, we have cured that. We have not run past 5 o'clock since we were here last time.
Wow.
So we try, we still try to, and there's something that I said to y'all that this does not interfere with. We deal with people.
Yes, sir.
We don't deal with cases. We don't deal with numbers. We deal with people. And every one of these ladies have that appreciation. They take their jobs very seriously, and I greatly appreciate it, and I'm glad that they are being recognized so that someone else knows to appreciate what they do. I'm going to applaud again.
Thank you, Judge. It's our Chief Judge, Judge Rollins, and we'll ask the council to come around and take a picture. If you all will please come forward, and we'll take a picture of the beautiful group.
Deborah, can you move your head this way a little bit? Okay,
I'll make plenty.
all right. Ready? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3. And one more, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you all, we really appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge Rollins. We've gotten the fun stuff out of the way. Now we'll move on, and we will take the agenda, and it's based on committees. And so the committee chairperson will handle each committee. So we're now at number 5, which is Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under the Economic Development Committee at this time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. The Vice Chair for Finance is Councilmember Howard Estes. If you don't mind taking the Finance Committee for me, please.
With pleasure, Madam Mayor. We have a couple of items tonight.
Yes, sir.
The first item, approve a resolution for the authorization to amend the redevelopment plan for the city's tax allocation district number 1, downtown and Northside, to change the name of the district to tax allocation district number 1, downtown and New Horizons, and make conforming changes to related documents. And Ms. Karen Callan will explain this to us.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Karen Callan, Assistant City Manager, 6695 Church Street. So this is just a simple proposed amendment to change the name from Northside to New Horizons. So that's it. And
Yeah,
Miranda
it sounded easy.
Yeah, it's very easy, but I know it's important, so, yes.
Any comments or questions from anyone?
Yes,
All right, Mr. Davis?
yes, can I, Mayor?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks a lot. Long time coming, and hope to see the signs going up pretty soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Where would the signs be located?
So this is the tax allocation district amendment plan. So I think they're still working on where the signs will be posted.
We don't have those identified as of yet. This is for funding for projects on the north side. So that's what this is for. This is funding.
This is
Yeah,
what-
when the plan was adopted,
no
it just said
signs.
north side.
This is great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, unless there is some objection, I would like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday.
Looks like a go.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Callan.
you.
And the second item is to authorize the mayor to sign change order 10 with Reeves Young LLC in the amount of $192,313.43 for the Jesse Davis Park Gym and Pool remediations necessary due to adverse weather conditions. And now we will hear from Marcus Thompson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Marcus Thompson, City Engineer, 6695 Church Street. During the course of the project, adverse weather conditions compromised the subgrades beneath the areas proposed for both the gymnasium and also the pool. Specifically, the gym subgrade was unsuitable and required complete removal and replacement. The project's geotechnical engineer recommended that we replace the uncompactable soil material with gravel to basically strengthen the subgrade area. Similarly, the pool subgrade suffered from washed out soil walls and incompatible soil conditions as well, requiring extensive remediation. The remediation involved replacing uncompactable soils with gravel and forming concrete to reinforce the washed out walls. Just thank you for considering this matter, and do you have any questions or concerns? And also I want to point out too, this time period spanned from December 23rd through February 24th, and we recorded 17 heavy rain events, and that impacted 42 days of construction, which is included on sheet 5 of the attachment.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marcus, did the unsuitable soils not show up on the geotechnical tests?
Yeah, so basically you have to have a certain compaction limit. They did a proof road testing, and it wasn't meeting the test. It was failing the proof road testing. So in order for it to pass, the geotech basically recommended gravel so that we can have like a strong foundation to place that.
The compaction tests were done during construction, though. But
that's correct.
But the geotechnical didn't identify it as unsuitable at the time, or just simply missed it because of the locations that they took the geotechnical borings?
So it basically happened at the time that the geotech was out on site trying to do the test, to perform the test, and basically the numbers came back
Okay. And that was post-bid, I assume, then? Is that why?
I'm sorry.
That was post-bid, that the geotechnical was done, so that's why they couldn't, that's why this pricing couldn't be put into the original bid?
It was unforeseen, basically. It was during the time that it was time to prepare the slab, the concrete slab for the gymnasium. So during that time period, we had the heavy rain events, and they compacted the soil, and then they initially, after that, they followed up with the proof roll testing, and from that, they noticed that it kept failing, and so that's when the geotech recommended, hey, let's place the gravel so that we could strengthen the subgrade so that we can place the slab. So it was
You say
during.
that the rain was impacting the quality of the soils as well, then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor?
That was kind of what I was going to ask. This is an architect and an engineer talking, so I'm just going to do like regular talk. So you were saying, Mr. Thompson, that because when it was raining so much and you gave us those 14 extra days, that when you had to replace the subgrade or lay down the gravel or the concrete, that the rain affected the ground, so you had to put gravel instead of what was there before?
Yeah, so around the time when it came for Regions to finally go ahead and compact everything to prepare for the slab,
Yes, sir.
before you can put the slab down, I'm guessing that they had to proof roll the area so that we can be informed that, hey, this will support the
The
loads.
concrete
Yeah,
slab,
yeah,
yes, sir,
the
and all the
loads
weight
of
that was going to be
yeah,
on it. Mhm.
Exactly. So it failed, and that's due to the heavy rain event. So that's when we was like, hey, let's come back with the gravel. And
Okay.
Yeah.
And that made it stronger on the foundation?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, is this within the contingency?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all I had, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you.
And that was my question. Coming up next, so thank you for asking. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing nobody's questions further, thank you. And I would also like to ask that this be added to the consent agenda for Monday.
Any objections out? I think it's fine.
All right, very good. Well, Madam Mayor, that is all we have for the Finance Committee this evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair, and thank you to our city engineer, Mr. Thompson, for that report, and our Assistant City Manager and CFO, Ms. Karen Callen, for the first item. So now we'll move on to the next committee, which you are the chair of that one as well. Mr. Estes is Housing and Community Affairs Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We
You're
have
welcome.
one item this evening for the Housing and Community Affairs Committee,
Yes, sir.
and that is to authorize the mayor to sign the emergency shelter grant application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs in support of Vision 21 Concepts, Inc. And Ms. Carolyn Pounds is here to walk us through this.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Good evening.
Basically,
Could you
this
give
is
us
a
your name
grant
and
that.
address? I apologize.
I'm
Ms.
sorry?
Pounds. Could you give us your name and address,
Yes,
please?
Carolyn Pounds, with Vision 21. I am the outreach director for Vision 21.
Okay, and the address for the,
It is 12591 Veterans Memorial Highway, Douglasville 30134.
thank you so much, Ms. Pounds.
So this is a grant that we did not apply for last year, but it is a grant that you guys approved 3 years prior. We have done this grant with Department of Community Affairs. We will be applying for the emergency shelter grant and servicing 85 clients, and it'll be single individual, no children. We will be providing housing, food, case management, and also transitional services for the community.
And so you were just asking for support from the city for this grant application?
Yes, so prior years, basically, the DCA grant, all they are looking for is a signature from the city, just stating that they support the services that we're going to be offering.
Okay, very good. Madam Mayor, anybody on council have any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
So, does this include your transitional housing as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And you are always full, but you have the men's center, which is great. Do you also have services for women yet?
Yes, so we partner with the Douglas County Shelter, which is located off of Sandy Plains on Fairburn Road, and we partner with them to do the women.
At some point, do you have in your long-term strategic plan to serve youth possibly?
Well, we do service women and children,
Okay.
but this grant does not include the children. It's just the individual
Just the
adults.
adult, okay. Yeah, this is a very good program. Pastor Ford at Crossroads is involved, and Sheriff Tim Pounds is as well. So it's great to always be able to support what you do. Thank you.
I just want to add, I actually have the letter that needs to be signed. I don't know if I can leave this with you guys. And because the grant is actually due, I don't know if you do plan to sign the letter on the agenda, if it can just be noted that it'll be maybe emailed on Monday, so we can provide this agenda with our grant.
When is the deadline for the grant?
It is tomorrow.
Bless you. That's how it rolls.
Okay,
isn't it?
so we can get this.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Acker, to our city clerk.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so very
Dr.
much.
Danley. And yes, any other questions or comments? Okay, yes, if you would bring that letter over to Ms. Acker, we will get it taken care of for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Mayor, that is all we have for the Housing and Community Affairs Committee this evening.
Thank you so much, Councilman Estes. We appreciate that. We'll move on then to Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee. That's chaired by City Council Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item under the Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee this evening.
Yes, sir.
That is to adopt a resolution approving the issuance of revenue refunding bonds by the Development Authority of Douglas County. And the Honorable Joe Fowler will give us some information concerning this issue.
Good evening, everyone. Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 49 in Douglasville.
Yes.
On November the 14th, 2023, the Development Authority adopted a resolution authorizing the issuance of revenue bonds for Brighton Academy on Presley Mill Road. They are refinancing their original bonds from 2013. They are saving, by virtue of this refinance, $250,000 a year.
Wow.
Brighton Academy, has been around for sometime 2002. Lisa McDonald, who is their extraordinary director, was going to be here, but something came up at 4:30, unfortunately. As I mentioned, they started in 2002 with 220 students. It was the first charter school in Georgia that was started by teachers. Since initial bond financing in 2013, it is now K through 8th grade, and they have 812 students with 80 staff members in their location on Presley Mill Road. At one point was named Charter School of the Year, and their director has been named Georgia Charter School Leader of the Year. And they got a national recognition recently as an EL Education Credentialed School. I looked it up, but since I went to a regular school, I didn't understand what I was reading. But it's something about 3 L's, achievement, character, and the type of work they do. It's an extraordinary undertaking. The bonds were initially provided so that they could buy that church building that was on that location, and if you've seen it, it's expanded tremendously. A portion of these bonds are tax exempt so that the interest paid to the lender is tax-free to that lender. And because that's the case, TEFRA, which is the Tax Equity Fiscal Responsibility Act of 1982, requires two things to happen. First, there has to be a notice in the newspaper to indicate that a hearing is available, and it was conducted on April the 22nd this year. And the hearing officer takes any comments that may be raised from citizens regarding this financing and whether or not it's the right thing to do in the community. Nobody attended that hearing. And then finally, the next step is what's called host approval, and that is for the local government where the entity is located to make a determination as to whether or not you agree with the findings by the Development Authority that this is an appropriate thing to do for this institution. You have a resolution before you along with something for the city to review and sign. There's nothing else other than say to that, other than the fact that the closing will occur after your approval. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Mr. Chairman, and others.
Thank you.
Any questions? I'll be more than glad to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. I think everybody up here can wholeheartedly agree that the Brighton Academy has had a tremendous impact on this community, so from the teachers all the way down to the students and the graduates over the years. So thank you very much for bringing this to us.
Right. Thank you very much.
I'll open up the floor for any questions or comments from the mayor or other council members at this time.
I agree with what you said. Brighton has been a great addition to the community, and anything that we can do to help them continue to thrive, by all means.
Lisa may be watching. I'm sure she's grateful for your comments, as are the other 79 staff members.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Great.
that's all, Mr.
Right.
Chairman.
And Mr. Chair, and the great thing too about Brighton is that they also allow other schools, childcare centers, when they have programs, if they don't have space, they will allow them to come in. And I have a lot of friends whose children have graduated, so they're doing great and still thriving. It's wonderful.
It's proud of them. We're just proud of them and excited that they want to stay here and educate our children. It's a blessing.
I can also say from a personal standpoint, Brighton Academy allowed my son, he did not go to school there, to come in with some of his friends and do a film project back when he was in middle school. And they were very inviting, and it was a fantastic project. They won first place in their age category in the Douglasville Film Festival. So,
And he graduated from Georgia State with the
he
film.
graduated in film and from Georgia State. So it all goes back to that film project at Brighton Academy.
That's right.
It's interesting when people have visions like Lisa and others, and now 22 years later, it's developed into the things that you have just commended them for doing. Thank you very much.
It's like in It's a Wonderful Life. You never know how many lives you touch and how that network, spider web goes out from there. So
Yes, sir.
it's quite incredible.
That's right.
Assuming there are no objections, I would like to place this item on the consent agenda for Monday evening. I think we have a consensus. Madam, thank you, Mr. Fowler. We
very much.
appreciate it and all
Thank
the good
you.
work you do. Madam Mayor, that is all we have under the Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee at this time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Attorney Fowler. We appreciate you bringing that information to us. We'll move on then to Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Estes. You were on fire this evening. This
I
is your
sure
committee
am.
as
I don't
well.
think I've ever talked this much in 5 years.
So,
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We have 2 items this evening. The first is to adopt an ordinance to amend the personnel policies and procedures for the City of Douglasville, Section 17-9, to amend the dress code requirements to add instructions for building inspectors, code compliance officers, and engineering employees. And we have Dr. Brian Westfield here to walk us through this.
Yes, sir, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dr. Brian Westfield, HR Director, 6695 Church Street. This is one of 2 policy updates this evening. With your approval, this ordinance would update the policies and procedures concerning uniforms. This amendment would authorize the Community Development Director and the Engineering Director to set the uniform for their employees conducting field operations. As Mr. Estes said, this would include building inspectors, code compliance officers, engineering technicians, and project managers. The Public Services Director and the Parks and Recreation Director already have this authority under this policy. Subject to your questions, that's all I have on this particular
So you're
policy.
just adding 2
Yes, sir.
additional,
So,
and they're highlighted in yellow and on our copy here. Any questions from anybody or comments? Look here, Brian, you're getting off easy tonight. All right, if no one has any issues, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda as well.
wait a minute now, gender neutral, okay, what's that mean? Just the colors are, everyone has the same thing, you can't wear a skirt.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor?
It says an F, engineers will wear the uniform prescribed by written departmental objective gender neutral rules may be made by the city engineer director. What does that mean?
So as we look at the policy, that they can't mandate anything outside of those set by the director. Let me see if I can give you a good example.
No, ma'am, a skirt would not be allowed
Yes.
because it's
Okay.
not gender neutral.
Gender neutral, okay.
So we're really looking at it from a safety perspective. So if, let's say Ms. Reed wanted to mandate or ensure everybody has on a hard hat or a reflective vest in a particular area, she can do that. Same thing with, Marcus. So we're looking at make sure, one, from the safety perspective, number two, from uniformity.
And you can't have different rules for different genders.
Okay.
It's like the police department.
Yeah.
Police
And
department
we've
will have to wear
and
the
we've
same
had
uniform.
that in the
Yes. Yeah.
ordinance. If you look
Yeah.
at the previous ones, the language is still the same. We just mimic the same language.
Yep.
We've always
Okay.
had that.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, of note, the way it was written, it was antiquated. It referred to the community development director as the community development and tourism director, and we know those two have been separated, so.
Okay, so this is long overdue then. Anybody else? Okay. Seeing no further questions or comments, I'd like to have this placed on the consent agenda as well. And then our second item tonight is to adopt an ordinance to amend the personnel policies and procedures for the City of Douglasville, Section 8-8, to amend the disciplinary appeals process for non-appointed employees. And again, Dr. Westfield.
Yes, sir. So this ordinance aligns the charter and the job description for the current city manager leadership structure. Currently, only non-appointed employees, they must be heard by the city manager only as it comes to appeals. So with the approval of the deputy city manager and the new responsibilities of the assistant city manager, this update will add both positions to the appeals process. This update would also provide flexibility to the appeals process in the event the city manager is unavailable or recuses himself from said appeal. Subject to your questions, that's all I have.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, obviously, this is a great idea, so let's put this on the consent agenda as well. And thank you, Dr. Westfield.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Estes,
Yeah.
just one point of clarification. If you go back to the personnel items on the uniform, I think we just need to correct one more item. If you all are okay with this, it says maintenance and sanitation employees. It should say public services. If you're okay with us making that change and still keeping on the consent agenda, we will.
Yes,
That's- okay,
yes,
thank you.
please. Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. That is all we have this evening under Personnel and Organization.
Thank you so much, Councilman Estes and Dr. Westfield. We appreciate you
you.
bringing that item to us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We'll move on then to Planning and Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We do have a couple of items this evening. The first is item number 24-144, and that is to, hold on, consider a request for exemption plat approval for the purpose of splitting 11.78 acres at 7125 West Strickland Street and Land Lot 192 and 193, District 2, Section 5, parcel ID 0193025A004, application by SEH Holdings, and Mr. James Gordon is on here to speak to us about this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm James Gordon, 6695 Church Street. And this plat is the large historic White House over on West Strickland. And now it's almost 12 acres there. And what the applicant is intending to do is split off the house to leave with 1 acre, just to split off the large White House, and then leave the remaining acreage for future development. The intent is to transfer the house to a nonprofit, share house nonprofit, for their administrative offices, so.
Okay. I know we've spoke about this particular property multiple times. Are you guys all familiar? Is come into mind the property that we're speaking of? Okay. Did you guys have any further questions or concerns about this? It's pretty simple. All right. And we did not have to hold a public hearing on that. So given that, I know it's not a public hearing, so can we place that on the consent agenda? Okay, are you guys all
Okay.
good with that? Look at us go.
Looks good.
I love that. I know you guys are tired.
We don't have to show up on Monday, looks like.
Yes, we do.
That's what we're going for. All right. Next item is item 24-146. That is to consider a request for exemption plat approval for the purpose of combining 4.97 acres and 0.62 acres and 0.39 acres into a 5.9 acre parcel at 8523 Durley Lane in Land Lot 50, District 1, Section 5. Parcels 005, 001, 50072 and 005, 001, 50120. In previous public RW application by SP Durley LLC, and Mr. James Gordon is down here to speak with us about this item as well.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This plat combines 3 parcels. The one section of the plat was some previous right-of-way that was left over when the road was widened, and it was turned over into this parcel. And there was also a small house on one of the parcels, and that has since been demolished. And so now the owner is combining all 3 of these parcels together for future development.
Okay. And I want to make sure I understand this correctly. So it's the parcel that they originally had that we spoke about, the parcel that contained the house, and then the parcel that was a small sliver that we talked about alongside 92.
Alongside Durley.
Okay, and those are the 3, though, that they're combining for this, correct?
Yes, they're combining those 3 pieces of land to combine up to an almost 6-acre
Okay.
tract.
Questions, comments, council? No? Guys, are y'all okay with placing this one on the consent agenda? Look at that. All right, guys, we have one more item here, and that is item 24-145, and that is to consider a request for a final replat approval for the purpose of establishing the as-built locations of the townhome buildings for lots 39 through 43, 134 through 139, and 140 through 146 of the Laurelwood Phase 2 for 12.018 acres at 5059 Reservoir Drive and land lots 23, 24, District 1, Section 5, and it is the application by FR Arbor Place, and Mr. James Gordon is here to speak with us about this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a plat which you'll see several pieces, the same re-establishment of this development, because as they're building the buildings, we're coming in and giving you the exact measurements of each individual building. This right here is only covering 3 of the buildings. 3 of the buildings are complete in Phase 2, and they need to come in and give the exact measurements so that they can go to closing with the individual owners.
Right.
So that's what this is for.
All right, so then this is the updated plat, so they can get the tax ID numbers and get it to closing, and then we'll see it again when they get the next
More
group
buildings.
finish, I guess. Okay.
Correct.
Questions, comments, council? No? Can we go ahead and place this on the consent agenda? Look at us go. All right. Talk about magic. Okay, Madam Mayor, that is all that we have this evening for planning and development.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr.
Thank
Gordon,
you.
for bringing these items forward. You're welcome. We'll move on then to item number 11, which is Public Improvement and Beautification Committee. That's also chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening for public improvement and beautification.
Thank you, ma'am. Public Relations Committee, chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No business at this time, thank you.
You're welcome. Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee, Councilmember Watts isn't here. The Vice Chair is Councilmember Miller. It's you.
Did I not know that? Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We do have one item this evening. Click on that. There we go. And that is item number 24-136, and that says to authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Georgia Recreation and Park Association and conflict of interest and disclosure policy for participation in the Georgia Recreation and Park Association Boost program, under which the city's Parks and Rec Department receives funding and provides comprehensive out-of-school time services to K through 12 students. And we have our very own Mr. Bass on here to talk to us about this item.
All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor
Good evening.
and members of council. Chris Bass, 8830 Gurley Road, Parks Recreation Director. We are seeking approval to receive the last installment of the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association Boost Grant, which is a federal grant through the state, provided by Georgia Statewide After School Network. This is continuation throughout the year. We provide after-school programming, and during the summer, we focus on summer programming for youth ages K through 12. We are adding a different component this year, enhancing our teen operations. So this grant will be fully funded through our along with our general fund budget to provide our teen programming over the summertime. So
Great.
I'm happy to answer any
That is
questions that you all may have. And I'm sorry, let me mention, this is a non-matching grant.
Thank you,
Oh,
Director Bass. That's exactly what I was about to ask you. Okay, perfect. Madam Mayor, Council, do you guys have questions? Yes, Madam
I
Mayor.
had a general question. Thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair. Director Bass, how many participants do we have approximately?
So this is a summer program. So right now in our summer program, we have about 95 participants
wow.
enrolled. And however, we do have various camps, our digital media camp, our Y2K teen camp, our STEM camp, and those range about 25 to 30 participants per camp.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a great impact.
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes.
Just a question. So will all of the, since the Jesse Davis Park is under construction, will you still have some students there too, as well as Hunter Park?
Yes, ma'am. So we do have some of the smaller specialty camps taking place over at the Alice Hawthorne Center. For example, we do our Shark Tank Teen Edition program over at the Alice Hawthorne Center. That's about 15 to 20 kids, so they can take those smaller groups over at Alice Hawthorne, and the larger camps are over at Hunter Park until construction is finished.
Love it, love it. Thank you. No other questions?
Thank you. Were there any other questions or comments? No? It's such a wonderful thing that we're doing. Thank you so much. All right, guys. It sounds like we're all on the same page then. So you guys good with placing this on the consent agenda? Beautiful. Thank you so much. And Madam Mayor, that is all that we have this evening for Recreation, Culture, and Tourism.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair and Director Bass. We appreciate you bringing the information to us. We'll move on then to item 15, which is Technology Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Elena Hudson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under the Technology Committee this evening.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Hudson. We'll move on then to Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We have one item tonight under transportation. It reads as follows: adopt an ordinance to amend the speed limit ordinance for Selma Drive, Bowden Street, and Duncan Street within the city of Douglasville. Mr. Thompson.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor and Council. So the item before you tonight is basically to amend the speed limit ordinance for Selman Drive, Bowden Street, and Duncan Street to 25 miles per hour to support the amphitheater and green space development and improve safety and accessibility by providing safe travel options. The 25 miles per hour was a requirement from the golf cart roadway assessment analysis that we did a while back with Wilburn Engineering, formerly known as Lumen 8 now. Basically, to reduce the speed limits, the city must pass this ordinance to update our list of roads and submit it to GDOT for approval to be forwarded to the Georgia Department of Public Safety for final approval and insurance of a speed detection device permit. So this is the first step to basically implementing the golf cart routes to our downtown area.
So the speed limit is reducing from what, from 225, but its current is what?
I'm sorry, could
Is
you
it,
repeat that?
is it 35 miles now, or what is the speed limit on the street now? It's reducing to 25.
I want to say it's 35. Hold on.
So 10, okay. All right, so
1 second.
do I have any questions from our, yes?
I have one.
Madam Councilman Miller?
Thank you. Would it make sense, or would it be possible to look at reducing the speed limit on the Campbellton Street side along where Douglas County High School is and north up to VMH, since that portion of Campbellton Street connects to these other streets that we're looking at?
It's also a place where they park and are transported?
Yes, we can look into that.
Is that,
Probably so, yeah.
We'll get back to you before Monday, Councilwoman Miller, because we may have to do a traffic study to include those streets.
all right, understood, thank you.
So, any other questions? So I have a question. When we typically do a traffic study, from my, just my recollection, is normally the police department have put out the sign, the little speed monitor. So I know that there was a traffic study from the police department on Strickland Street where the railroad is. So people still speed, and I'd like to see if we can relook at that, because there are people that still walk across the railroad, and we do not have safe crossing at the railroad, and we've had a fatality there.
Now, we have two different, so you may be talking about the speed checks that the police department
Yes,
does. The
I
one that
am.
Marcus is doing is engineering. So would you
Okay.
like us to conduct an engineering study on
I mean,
Strickland?
I think it's warranted. I know that we had residents that were asking about Strickland Street, basically where, right before you get to the underpath, you know where I'm speaking. And the speed limit right now is 35. So, and even when you come off Malone, where Wortham Park is, that fence right there, there's like, that tree grows pretty out there, so sometimes you can't even see. You have to get out there in the street before you can really turn left. But because there's been a fatality, and also because there's no safe crossing, but yes, I would like to see, and how long does it take to do that?
For a speed calming study for Strickland Street, how long does it usually
Well,
take?
that segment is actually included in the Dallas Highway Improvement.
Okay.
So we can get Croy to look into that.
All right,
Okay.
so because it's part of another project, Marcus is suggesting that it may not take as long as a traditional study. So
That's
we'll
wonderful.
get that done.
Right, okay. So it would include, because it would include over by McCarley as well? Okay.
correct.
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, I will follow order, and if we can put this on the consent agenda as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Birdelli, and thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll move on then to other business, and our city attorney, not the city attorney, but our staff attorney, I apologize. No, it's not her. I apologize. It's Marissa Jackson, okay. You know what I'm reading down for the updates from city staff? Miss Marissa Jackson. Consider whether to issue a GICH letter of support for low-income housing tax credit application. So Miss Marissa Jackson, I apologize, I got that all mixed up. So I know we have the information here, council members, and Ms. Jackson will take us through the application or the ask for this letter of support.
All right, before Ms. Jackson presents this information to you, it's been a while since you all have received a request to get a letter of support for a low-income tax credit housing project. The last one was the project on the north side that you all are familiar with. So since it's been some time, I thought I would just remind you and for Ms. Hudson so you know how the process goes. We are a Georgia Initiative for Community Housing Program alumni, and because of that, applicants are able to ask for support letters as well as get bonus points for their applications for the project. In order to do that, what you all have is a application process that those individuals will apply through the Community Development Department. They would screen those projects and recommend one to you. You have the opportunity to issue one letter of support. So that is what's before you now. We did not put it on the legislative work session for an item to vote on Monday because we really are not certain if you all want to move forward or if you want to do something different. If you choose to, Ms. Vicky will add that item to your voting meeting for Monday, but we wanted to make certain to give you an opportunity for staff to present the information and the applicant to present
Right.
their request to you for your consideration.
Thank you. We received 2 requests for letters of support this year. One is from Douglasville proper on Chicago Avenue. The other is for Highland Park Senior Village on Selman Drive, I'm sorry. Members of the housing team reviewed both applications and scored them. Douglasville proper had the higher average score with 43 points out of 50, and Highland Park Senior Village had an average score of 41 points. Both applicants are here today if you have questions for them or would like to hear from them. The letter of support is due on May 15th with the application to the Department of Community Affairs.
What is the council's pleasure? Would you like to hear from the applicants? I know we've had the information, and so we've read over them more.
Right, and these 2 properties already exist?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Right.
Both of them are existing multifamily projects. They previously had tax credits that are expiring this year, so the 2 developers are reapplying.
Okay, so one is in Ward 3, and the other one, I think, is Ward 2. Yes.
Right.
So,
Yes, I would like the applicants for both properties to answer how long is their waiting list. I know that the Highland Park Senior waiting list has been like 6 years, 7 years, 8.
the applicants will come forward and then just present an overview of your project so that council members can ask you questions, if you don't mind. You come forward to give us your name and address for the record. And so Dr. Burdally was asking about the wait list. So if you give us your name, please, and address, and then we will ask you some questions.
My name is Jennifer Doyle, and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
address is 6785 Selman Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
Yes.
Our waiting list is down now
Okay.
because I called a lot of people, and a lot of the people I couldn't contact, but I did find other people to come in and apply for the 3 that I had available.
Okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
How do you advertise when your waiting list is down? You have people there, but how do you advertise? I know there's a lot of people, you have a wonderful property, and it's always clean, always nice. The seniors really enjoy where it is. It's a great place right across from the library. Do you advertise on social media, or do they have to walk in to get on the waiting
A little
list?
both, and I've been there, Monday made a month, but I've been with the company for a while. I was transferred, so I'm getting acclimated with the community.
Okay.
And since I've been there, I love it. The residents, they are wonderful.
Yes, they
And
are.
I love working with them as well.
So how do you advertise if you have a waiting list availability?
Well, when I got there, I started calling from the wait list.
Okay.
And then a lot of people know about the community that walks in, and it's from word of mouth that what they tell me, because I asked them, how did they hear about us? And they would tell me, my friend or something like that. So to me, what I hear seems like our best advertisement is a word of mouth.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I'd like to, thank you. Yes, would you like to?
Hi,
yes,
my
ma'am.
name is Tony Raymond, and I work here with Jennifer. She is my manager of the property. You asked about advertisement. We also on the Georgia Search program, so
Okay.
We network there. We also have a website for the property. So word of mouth is huge.
It is.
As Jennifer mentioned. So,
Right.
yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for making your comments, and thank you. Your property is great, and thanks for what you do for us seniors.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to ask the other
The other applicant.
applicant?
Yes,
You want
the
to
other
ask the other
applicants,
applicant,
please.
the one on
Yes.
Chicago?
Yes, ma'am.
You all please come forward and give us your name and address for the record and the questions about advertising and wait list.
Okay, sure thing. Jason Stubblefield, we are, I'm here
Your
with
address,
CDOT.
please.
I'm sorry?
Your address?
Yes, 8424 Chicago Avenue.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Yes. We are the owners of Douglasville proper, so I'll just give a brief introduction. That's a 100-unit property, and more importantly, the home to 250 residents that go to schools around here to pay taxes in the city of Douglasville. We've been owning apartments since 2015. We've owned over 1,000 units. We've also partnered with the Searles Foundation, Beverly J. Searles. They've got GIC awards before, and they also do a lot as far as residents and being able to provide programs for them. So, well, the problem with these properties are once they get old, outside of, this was built in 1995, there's no longer the ability to really keep them up to date and keep the rents affordable like they are. So what happens is those properties start to go through a decline, which I call it like the downward spiral, right? They start to attract better tenants because you aren't doing the upkeep. So we're requesting support from the city council for a GIC letter in order that we would be able to address some of those things and make those issues no longer be a concern. So we want to do all new roofs. We want to be able to provide a new parking lot. For the tenants, their experience will be to have a completely brand new unit, new flooring, new kitchen, everything. And so if you all will support us in that, we will do our best to make sure that that happens and that the residents have the best experience during that process. And also, before I know there may be some questions for us, but just want to say to the city council, we aren't here for just to make a quick dollar and so go away. We actually believe in affordable housing. It's a national crisis, and we want to be able to help address that long term.
So, I'm sorry, how long is your waiting list?
Our waiting list, because we're the owners, we sort of get that information from our managers. From what I last recall, it was around 35 people or so.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you want to say?
Yeah, I was just going to add, so to
If you
piggyback
give
off
What's your
what...
name, please?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
C. Todd Mbuya, 8424 Chicago Ave.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to piggyback on what Jason was talking about in terms of our mission of affordable housing. We love affordable housing, but we like to provide value outside of just a place to stay and collecting a rent check. We think affordable housing can sometimes be a trap because if people make too much, then they can no longer afford to live there, and then now they're into much more expensive housing when their income may not be comparable. So we look to add value beyond just providing a place to stay. That's what Jason was talking about, adding amenities and other resources to be able to economically mobilize people outside of affordable housing. So it's deeper than just housing. When you have housing and you provide that for a large community, you have a captive audience and you have a control in the sense of their environment, which has a huge impact on them. So just wanted to add that in there.
So is this letter of support for a tax credit? Because I'm hearing you say that you will use the funds for renovation?
Yes, that's part of what the program will do. So we will apply through Georgia Department of Community Affairs for more tax credits to preserve the affordability for another 30-plus years.
Okay, so it's good to hear that after your tax credits are over, that you're not selling the property and then the income for your residents are going extremely high. I remember you all coming up last year and introducing yourselves. I think you've owned this property for about a year.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and you know, actually, I don't too much hear of too much going on over there. Do you, Chief Sparks?
We had this year 300 and we have 100 units, 363 calls for service. 2022 we had 222. 2021 we had 187.
Douglasville proper, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So those are calls for service that we have had in that apartment complex.
So do you have a security officer, a police officer on site?
No, we do not. I mean, our ownership has been from last year to roughly February of 2023. From what we've been notified of, there hasn't been any criminal issues. Not that I heard about.
Well, it's not, he didn't say criminal, he just
He
said
said calls for
calls.
Service.
Right.
Some could be criminal, some could be a small amount of use of marijuana, some could be domestic.
Right.
It could be a whole gamut of things, but we had 300 and calls for service. 363, 2023, 222, 2022,
So you,
187.
so as owners, you may not get all that, it goes through 911, but my question is, you don't have a police officer on site. It would be in my best interest that you have some type of security there. Like most of, I know your income base, and unfortunately what happens is sometimes if they don't meet that income base, they can't be there. But what do you do for security? I know it's 911, but we have some of our, a lot of our apartments have a police officer that lives there.
Yes, we've done that in other properties that we've owned. And so since this is the first I've heard about that number of calls, it'll definitely be something that we address and talk with our property manager to see how can we get law enforcement, whether we have someone that just does patrols. We've also done things when needed, like even offer some units to security officer or police officer if that's what's needed to deter the crime.
When is your application due?
May 15th.
May 15th. I'd like to see that you put something in place to address, that's a very high number of calls. And then we are approaching summer. And I'd like to see what are you going to put in place in regards to security. Those are some high numbers. And we don't get all of the information, but, that's just my comment. You're doing a great job. Your apartments stay full, and this is your second year, I understand. But with those numbers, that is concerning to me.
Absolutely
you.
agreed. I think that's something we can look at and definitely get back to the council prior to May 15th.
So, Ms. Hampton, we have, of course, Monday, we have a voting meeting. But by the time we have another meeting, by May the 15th, your application is going to be due. So.
We
you
could
have-
try to expedite it.
You have
that
some
gives us.
homework to do this weekend, maybe.
Yeah.
Any other that's just my concern.
Yes, ma'am, I think it's warranted. Chief, do you mind looking at, in all fairness, since we had two applications, if you could look into the one on Selma Drive and see at Highland Park Senior Village? It might be a little different because those are seniors, to see what their calls were. Oh, Highland Park Senior Village, 6785 Selma Drive.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're just trying to.
And gentlemen, are there any challenges that you are experiencing that we may need to know about as well, other than just renovation?
I think the majority of our challenges are sort of internal to the property, right?
Okay.
With just, the leasing, making sure that we handle tenant issues, which they are obviously there. So at this time, I wouldn't say there was anything outside of just
Okay.
the support.
There are going to be issues, not just at your property. There are issues everywhere. I just wanted to see what do you have in place for security, and you have cameras on site as well?
We do.
Okay.
Chief, did you?
And again, these are 911 calls.
Sure.
It could be for anything, loud noise. But you asked me about
Highland
Park.
Park Senior.
Highland Park, 6785 Selma. 2023, 15 calls, 2022, 8, 2021, 8.
Okay. We knew-
15
Big
calls.
difference, senior housing versus, yeah. So could
Seniors
you,
kinda
could you
calm.
just come back on Monday and just kind of give us what you may have to do to help with the security numbers going down? And of course, you have our, we have the best police department, literally. So, I mean, you may want to speak with Chief Sparks to see some things that you could do before Mondays, if that's, I'm not trying to give you extra job, Chief, but.
Okay. Now, I had a couple of questions as well. So you were asking for this application, the letter of support to apply for the GIC, and you were going to do renovations with the, with that if you received the resources. So wouldn't you just do normal renovations as time goes on, just by having the property like somebody who has a home, you have to keep up maintenance?
That would be part of it, but the main purpose of the reissuance of tax credits is that we would take it from where it is now, being a 1994 build, and
Right.
basically make it renewed, right? So
Yes, sir.
everything brand new, from the siding to the roofs to the interiors of the units for the tenants as well.
And this will just help to give you that capital to do that with?
This is the support, because DCA is looking to see support from the city along with the developer partners, and so we're seeking that support here today.
Okay. City Manager or Ms. Jackson, what will happen if we do not sign these letters of support for these two properties? Do they go away and then they are market rate, or how does that happen?
So if we don't sign the letter, I imagine that the applicant is still going to submit the application to the Department of Community Affairs. It just won't have the letter of support from the city.
So the letter of support from the city just strengthens their application?
Yes, they get one additional point. DCA has a scoring system that
Yes.
they use. They just get one additional point, like extra credit.
Okay, so it does not revert to market rate, or the people that live there, especially our seniors, not like everyone isn't important, but seniors a lot of times are on a fixed income, so they would not have to move because rental rates go up.
Well, I believe that would be up to the applicant. So
Okay.
they're applying for renewed low-income housing tax credit status. Their application strength is going to be measured by DCA, and DCA will determine whether they keep the tax credits or not. At that point, if they don't get the tax credits, it becomes market rate, and the applicant and the property owner will be able to have a little bit more say in what the rents are.
Because if they're under DCA, then they have to stay within that low-income
Yes.
threshold that we've been given as far as the rental rates on this form. Okay, thank you. We have any other questions from council members for Ms. Jackson or for the applicants or staff? Thank you so much. Thanks, Chief, too, for giving us that information. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
We'll make
gentlemen.
and ladies, we'll make a decision on Monday. So I believe that is the last business item that we have. So not having any other business in that area, we'll go to updates from our city staff. Our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Our staff attorney, Ms. Miranda Jordan.
No business, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I was trying to make you go on the other item. Our chief of police, Dr. Gary Sparks.
No items, Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you so much, chief. Our city manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. What we need to move forward on the item for other business is whether or not, one, do you want to provide a support letter to either business, or do you want to participate in that at all? So if you can speak with me after the meeting, we'll need to know, because we'll need to advertise something. What I would suggest to you all is that if you're not interested in providing a support letter to either business, it would be better for us to know that now so that we can inform the applicant, and you're not having a yes/no vote on the agenda and creating that type of concern for the applicant. So, but if you do want to provide a support letter for either entity, please let me know before you leave tonight, and then we can have further discussion between now and Monday. But if there is no interest, I think it's a good idea to let those individuals know so they can move forward with their applications to DCA.
Yes, ma'am. So it isn't all or none. We can choose 1, 2, 3, all three, one, or none of the above. All of
You
them.
have one option for one letter each year.
So we only have one letter to approve
That is your
out of the
program.
3 applicants that we
That is your
received.
program, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we did receive one from Vision 21.
No, ma'am.
This is separate.
This is separate. This is the 2 individuals that just spoke.
Okay, so Vision 21 is a separate
Yeah,
item.
and you have a recommendation from staff, and that's included in your packet based on scoring criteria. You heard from both entities tonight based on their request and their reasons. The deadline for their applications to DCA is prior to your next round of meetings. So if you are going to support one of their requests and add a support letter to either application, I would just like to know before you leave tonight so that we can communicate that with them. And if you are not interested, because you don't have to, we would like to communicate that to them as well.
So both applicants are applying for the same, and only one can receive it?
And you have your recommendation, yes,
I
ma'am.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And what page is it on? Because there's 74 pages in this, in our other business link. It's on the first page. I'm reading through all the other
Letter
stuff.
of support, your yes.
Oh, righty.
2 of
All right,
74.
thank you, City Manager.
All right, and then the last question I have is, we did not hear an affirmative consent on the Vision 21 application, so if you all are good with putting that on the consent agenda, that would be helpful so that we can provide that information to them on Monday, since their grant application is due. And that was earlier on in the agenda.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to Highland property on Selma, if this is not, if they are not, if they don't receive the support letter, then what happens to this property? The same?
They apply to DCA. The
The
support
same.
letter gives them bonus points.
Right.
So as a GET community, you can provide this letter of support to give them that bonus point. It doesn't restrict them from applying to
getting it.
DCA for the low-income tax credit housing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, they just gave us the scoring points. They didn't say either one. Okay. All right, City Manager, you have anything else?
Yes,
Okay.
we did not get a confirm of the Vision 21, the item that was listed under number 7, if you wanted that on the consent agenda. It would be helpful if you chose to put it on the consent agenda because the application request is needed before Monday. Okay. Thank you. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you so much, City Manager. Our staff reports, we do have our director, the staff report regarding the Wednesday Wind Down Concert Series, Mr. Post. You're going to make, and that's under Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee, and Councilman Watts isn't here, so I'll just take that committee and give Councilmember Miller a break and have you present to us.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
Good
Jason
evening.
Post, 6695 Church Street, Community Relations.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to give everyone a quick update on our upcoming Wednesday Wind Down concert series for this year. We have our schedule locked in. You should have an attachment on your agenda, which is our lineup for this year.
See?
So we have a great lineup with some exciting acts. We've got some old favorites. We've got some new names in there as well, so it's a good mix of old and new. The big change this year is we will be moving down to the Town Green this year, so the whole series will be down there. Other than that, it will structure very much like Wednesday Wind Down always has. So we have requested an open container district for this series of events. Proof of the Pudding will open the concessions for drink service. We're talking to them. This is going to be an experimental year a little bit as we move to the Town Green. So Proof is going to be doing a little bit of trial and error to determine whether or not they will be serving food during these or whether or not they will be just opening for drink service. And we'll be adjusting throughout the series based on sales to make sure that they are doing well. So our recommendation for everyone is going to be show up early, get a good parking space, go to one of our downtown restaurants, eat dinner, and then come out to the Town Green for the restaurant for the concert series. Other than that, it's going to function just like Wednesday Wind Down always has. It's going to run from 7 to 9 with 9:30 hard stop time, roughly. We have great acts. It's going to get even bigger this year with the stage and the sound and the lights that we have down there. So it's going to be a summer of really good shows. It's every Wednesday night in June and July. We'll be out there every Wednesday night, so come and join us.
Rain or shine.
Well, yeah. It is scheduled for rain or shine.
Bring your
If it is
sweaters.
raining too much, we'll cancel when we can or when we have to, when we absolutely have to. We pretty much, we pay for the acts, so it's rain or shine pretty much for them. So if it is possible to have a concert, we will be out there having a
Yes,
concert.
sir.
Well, considering the caliber of the talent that you have on your flyer, I think you're going to be mobbed.
And so, Mr. Post, unlike the amphitheater, you can bring your own food in for Wednesday wind down.
Yes, ma'am. You can bring coolers, you can bring food. Again, it's an open container district. You can purchase drinks from the Proof of the Pudding or the concessions or from a downtown restaurant during the open container district, and they'll have the wristbands just like they always have in the past.
Yes, sir.
It's not really a bring your own alcohol situation, same as it always has been. It's a purchase from one of our downtown restaurants as part of the open container district. But for food and things like that, yeah, bring your picnic. Again, we're going to encourage people to go to one of our downtown restaurants and pick up some to-go food from there, and then come out to the town green. But yes, this one's going to be a little more open than the
Yes.
large Greystone Amphitheater kind of concerts, where there's no tickets. We've gotten a lot of responses this year. I know Ms. Hardaway's been responding to a lot of email questions about, do we need tickets? Can we bring coolers? And what that looks like this week. So this one's going to look a little bit different than those big concerts. It's going to be a little more relaxed, a little more chill.
Yes.
We're not closing down any roads or streets or anything like that. There's no gates or fencing. It's just an open, nice time on the town green. Bring your lawn chairs out, bring your cooler if you want, bring some food, and come out for a nice, relaxed evening on a Wednesday night.
And parking is in the parking deck and on the streets, and people, like when you go to the Battery Stadium, you have to walk a block if you park in the parking deck.
Yes, ma'am. The parking, like I said, we're not closing any streets, so there's a little bit of parking that is around the town green. If you get there early, you can get one of those. Otherwise, yeah, we have the full parking deck available up here. We have all the service street parking. I know there's 300 spaces on the deck and another few hundred spaces in the downtown area on the street level parking and in the various parking lots. I know the parking lot next to the precinct, the old precinct building down here will be open. It's not blocked off from road closures and things like that. So there's a lot more parking that will be available than there is during our big amphitheater concerts because we don't have any of the road closures. But parking is probably going to be our biggest concern overall. So that's, again, our recommendation as we market and promote it is going to be come out early, get a good parking space,
But
get
not
some
in my
dinner,
lot.
enjoy a nice
Is that
walk
right?
down.
Not in my lot.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have seen them park down at Ace Hardware and walk.
Okay. When I go to the baseball games, you have to walk.
You do.
So the other thing I was going to ask about was security.
Yes, ma'am. We have officers, we've been communicating with the PD for all of our events, so they will have officers assigned just like they always do. And I'm assuming this will also be a little bit of a trial and error this year to see what this looks like down at the town green. We normally have at least a couple of officers out for a Wednesday wind down event. Depending on the size of the crowds and things like that, that may change throughout the season, I would imagine. But it's going to be one of those where we're just going to have to figure out how it goes as far as crowds and stuff this year. But we will be working with the PD, looking at their recommendations on who and how many we should have out in the area.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll open the floor for any other questions or comments from council members. Councilman Davis.
Mr. Post, I'm looking at me and Mr. Estes, Councilman Estes, and he has a fan in his hand saying, I am a fan of Greystone. Can we have a fan that says, I am a fan of Wednesday Wind Down?
We can look at it. We'll look and see what I can find.
Yes, Councilman Miller. Councilman, you didn't have anything. Any other comments? Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Post. We appreciate you, all that you do in community. I know, he does a lot. All right. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? We've had all of our council items that were taken care of. So if you sustain the meeting and you'd like to speak to us, please come to the microphone. You have 5 minutes to talk to us about any business germane to the city of Douglasville. You can come forward to give us your name and address. Thank you. I don't see any. If If we don't have any other business from anyone, this meeting is adjourned.
Mhm.